He's guided several award-winning papers and also has published a large number of them in national and international journals. Ma'am is also the recipient of the Golden Jubilee Award of IAP along with the Best Academician Award. Dr. Umanjali Damke ma'am, with her teaching experience of over 2 decades, is with us to impart her vast ocean of knowledge. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Our next panelist is HOD and PhD guide at VSPM College of Physiotherapy and Lata Mangeshkar Hospital. Sir is a member of Board of Research and a member of Board of Studies at MUH's Nashik. He has several publications in indexed journals. Sir is also a cardiorespiratory specialist with a teaching experience of over 19 years under his belt. We are honored to have Dr. Y. Praveen Kumar sir with us. We welcome you, sir. Then we have with us a panelist who is the associate professor in community physiotherapy at VSPM's College of Physiotherapy. She has the experience of working in esteemed hospitals like Nanavati, Seven Hills, Krishna Cardiac Center at Mumbai, and KRIMS and Lata Mangeshkar Hospital here in Nagpur. Dr. Rashmi Maholkar ma'am is a certified BLS trainer and is joining us today with all her vast experience. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And coming to our final panelist of the day, he has done his BPTH from Sancheti Institute of Orthopedics and Rehabilitation Center and MPT in Musculoskeletal Sciences from VSPM Nagpur. Sir is a certified manual therapist and is currently working as an assistant professor at Pravara Institute of Medical Sciences. We are privileged to have Dr. Suraj Mathew sir with us. We welcome you, sir. Over to you, Anuradha.
Thank you so much for such wonderful introductions, Anusha. I'm sure our panelists are also very happy, being a part of this panel. When we were trying to get this panel together, we decided that we have to do something for this profession because in these Corona times, a lot of this has been happening around, and I thought कि चलो ये एक बहुत ही अच्छा medium रहेगा कि हमारे जो आसपास के लोग हैं उनको इसकी importance समझ में आएगी. Right, so I think we can immediately begin off with the questions. Right, it's again a request to all of you to keep yourselves muted. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to put it up in the chat box. All right. So beginning with the very first question for Manisha Deshpande, ma'am. Ma'am, you're here. Please put on your video, ma'am.
Yes, Anuradha, are you there?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, the very first question that I would like to ask you for all of our audience here, that what exactly is a physiotherapist's role? So, like, why are physios being treated with such dignity, और हमारा exactly role क्या है? ये आप जरा थोड़ा डिटेल में समझाएंगे हमारे लोगों को कि क्यों इतना जरूरी है फिजियोथेरेपी आज की डेट में? Ma'am, you're muted.
Hello everyone, wishing you all a very happy World Physiotherapy Day today, and I am very glad to see Suraj, our student, as an panelist here. So I am very happy, Suraj. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Anuradha, you have asked a very genuine question. See, many a times, people, they do not know what is the importance of physiotherapy, and physiotherapy today only, while coming back from college, I listened on the radio. On the national channel, the program was going on World Physiotherapy Day, and they were just restricting the discussion on massage, pressure points, some acupressure. So I was wondering, still since so many years, after the existence of physiotherapy, still people have a lot of confusion regarding what is physiotherapy. So let me clear myself. So what is physiotherapy? It's a branch of modern medicine which includes examination, assessment, interpretation, physical diagnosis of a condition, along with the planning and execution of the treatment. And why we give this treatment? It is to alleviate, prevent, and correct the limiting physical dysfunction. And physiotherapy has got 4 specialties, and it has a lead role in acute as well as chronic conditions. We have sports and musculoskeletal physiotherapy, physiotherapy in neurosciences. Then the important in the current pandemic is the cardiopulmonary physiotherapy and the community-based rehabilitation and women's health. And to achieve these goals, we use different kind of therapeutic modalities such as pulse electromagnetic field, ultrasonic current, high and low frequency current, shockwave therapy, lasers. So these are the various modalities which are used along with the therapeutic exercises like manual techniques, strengthening exercises, and so on, along with the assistive devices like the splints, some K-tapes, which is in, like everyone knows about it since the wide coverage it is given on the television, the sports therapy, and the how the tapes helps on field to the different sport person.
राइट एब्सोल्युटली मैम, बिकॉज यही कुछ पोर्शंस है जो ज्यादा हमारे ब्रॉडकास्ट में आते हैं. बहुत सारे लोगों को सिर्फ वही पता रहता है कि फिजियो मतलब या तो एक्सरसाइजेज या तो इलेक्ट्रिक डिवाइसेस या फिर टेपिंग. बस इतने ही में ही लोग सीमित हैं अपनी नॉलेज को लेके कि बस यही एक फिजियो का रोल है. बट मैम आपने बहुत अच्छे से समझाया है कि फिजियो क्या करते हैं, कितने सारे उन्हें सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ने पड़ते हैं. इट्स कम्प्लीटली बेस्ड ऑन द मेडिकल फील्ड्स, पूरे वही सब्जेक्ट्स कवर होते हैं. मूविंग टुवर्ड्स प्रवीण सर. Praveen sir, could you please tell us what more details, and if you could provide more details about what exactly do we mean when we talk about respiratory physiotherapy in particular?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Anuradha, once again. As far as the respiratory physiotherapy is concerned, I came across the respiratory physiotherapy when I was a student. So right from that time, I am learning about respiratory physiotherapy. And now it is not like what it was in early 90s. Now the things have changed. The first change had occurred when the people started suffering from cardiac problems, and when they are getting admitted in various hospitals and they were receiving the chest physiotherapy. Second change came into the respiratory physiotherapy after the lung surgeries, and then when lung transplants and all started coming into the picture, and then for the tuberculosis and your chronic bronchitis and all. And next it came into existence when there were not many physiotherapists available for the sports physiotherapist. So they started taking care of respiratory physiotherapy for taking care of these people. And now people are very aware as on date, because now every patient whom I come across who is a COVID patient, when they telephonically contact us, they straight away say that we want lung therapy. So I don't think so now it is the time to make people aware of lung therapy, because everybody knows, if not today, maybe after 15-20 days, they have to take physiotherapy. And secondly, this is the first time I would like to share that one of the tests which is being utilized by physiotherapists from age-old times, that is the 6-minute walk test, has been considered as one of the important tests. Even when we talk to medicine people and when we ask them, they just tell that, you please do your own 6-minute walk test. If they say drop by 3%, then you require a respiratory physiotherapy. So this is what is actually respiratory physiotherapy. And there are a lot of treatments pertaining to that. We have chest physiotherapy, manual percussion, and so on.
राइट, एब्सोल्युटली सर. क्योंकि अभी बहुत सारे जो हॉस्पिटल्स है, जैसे हम देखते हैं कि वोखाट हो गए या जो भी बहुत सिग्निफिकेंट हॉस्पिटल्स है, वो एक पूरा किट प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं जिसमें वो मेडिसिन के साथ साथ चेस्ट फिजियोथेरेपी के भी टेलीकम्युनिकेशन कॉल्स प्रोवाइड करते हैं. सो डेफिनेटली सर, जैसा आपका कहना है कि काफी सारे लोग आजकल यही डायरेक्ट अप्रोच बोलते हैं कि उन्हें ब्रीदिंग एक्सरसाइजेज या पोस्ट कोविड एक्सरसाइजेज जो ब्रीदिंग के लिए चाहिए, वो उसके लिए रिकमेंडेशन के लिए दे आस्क फॉर इट. Moving toward the next panelist, the principal of GNC Physiotherapy College, Umanjali ma'am, could you please tell us more or elaborate more about what are the steps for post-COVID patients that are being taken up by GMC? Because ये मैंने बहुत सारा पढ़ा है कि बहुत सारे patients होने की वजह से कुछ नए measures लिए जा रहे हैं, कुछ modifications हुए हैं, सब नहीं किए हैं. So could you please elaborate more on that?
Yeah, at the onset, good evening, everyone, and thanks for calling me onto this panel. Speaking about directly going on to the post-COVID, actually, why? Because a lot is being spoken about COVID. COVID is being dealt with the physiotherapists and the medicine people, The moment the patient is out, then the post complications which are there onto the COVID patients definitely need a greater in-depth evaluation as a physio. What happens is these patients, we categorize these patients onto 3 groups. Number one, we have one group of patients who are at home, right? They don't have much of a complications. They just had fever and no other respiratory complications. Second group is one which was into the high density, high dependency unit where the patients had a lot of oxygenation. And the third group was the ones which was into the ICU. Now, what happens is the ones who are into the ICUs, the respiratory involvement is quite a lot. So when these patients are coming to the post-COVID OPD, we already divide them into these 3 categories onto the basis of the history. Now, the ones who were home isolated, we can go in for an in-depth assessment like 6 minutes walk test for them and the rest of the battery tests. To them, we can advise a home management because then we can tell them a group of exercises, we can tell them endurance exercises, and they can continue at home. But the ones which are onto the high dependency unit, had been onto the high dependency unit and the ICCUs, we are calling them every day and we are assessing them and giving them exercises in front of us. Because what happens is when the lung is compromised, then along with this, even the cardiac system is getting involved. A number of patients we have seen, we are doing spirometric tests for these patients, post-COVID patients as well. It's seen that along with respiratory involvement, a number of patients are coming with cardiac involvement as well. So then they need to be referred to the cardiologist. So thereby these 2 group of patients, we are trying to give exercises in the department itself so that they are getting monitored. And if an emergency comes, then the medical people are around to take care of these patients. So what we are doing exactly is we are calling up post 1 month test negative patients to be on to the safer side, because these are post-COVID patients and they are coming to the GMC OPD. So at the registration counter itself, any of the patient who is post 1 month, the first test negative, they can come and register at on the post-COVID OPD. Okay, from there he comes to the at the registration counter, then he comes to the OPD, then he is evaluated by the pulmonary medicine, spirometric test being done, and then we take him for the physiotherapy assessments. If the patients are more of like once we take up the history, we get an idea about the endurance levels of these patients. Once we get the endurance levels of these patients, are they dyspneic at rest, are they dyspneic at the normal functional activities, or they are relatively non-dyspneic, then we accordingly we go in for a 2-minute walk test, 3 minutes walk test, or a 6 minutes walk test, and accordingly then we go in for the rehabilitation of these patients by giving them strengthening exercises to the ones who are onto the lighter group, by going in for just active exercises for the high dependency group and to the group which has been into the ICCU, so that they go on with a rehabilitation very gradually. And that is how we are continuing with the rehabilitation of this patient.
That was very insightful, ma'am. And indeed, जैसे जैसे situation change हुई है, हमको भी कुछ measures लेने पड़े हैं to ensure that these patients come back to their own ability, because as physiotherapists, like we say, we add life to years and not just years to life, right? So moving on to again coming back to Manisha ma'am. Ma'am, could you just enlighten us more, like how can these patients जो अभी COVID से recovery हुई है, like ma'am ने अभी बहुत सारे जो भी measures discuss किए ये उन्होंने अपने OPD basis पे बोला है, तो जो ऐसे पेशेंट्स हैं जो घर पे ही है और जिन्होंने अपने आप को ही होम क्वारंटीन किया था और अब वो ठीक हो चुके हैं, तो उनके लिए अगर आप कुछ ऐसी एक्सरसाइजेस रेकमेंड कर पाएंगे या कुछ ऐसे मेजर्स रेकमेंड कर पाएंगे, बीइंग फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट, आपके क्या इस पे ओपिनियंस है? प्लीज टेल अस मोर.
अभी पेशेंट्स जो रिकवर हो चुके हैं, लाइक what I want to emphasize is it is not only the lung and heart. So the post-COVID patients, what they will be facing in the post-acute phase is not only the fibrosis of the lung or the symptoms because of the myocarditis. They will be having a lot of fatigue, joint pain, maybe steroid-induced avascular necrosis, and they will be having the post-intensive care syndrome, which will be giving physical symptoms as well as the cognitive and psychological symptoms. What we have seen again, the stroke. Because what is happening, COVID is not just the infection, it triggers an inflammatory response in the body, and it is affecting the all systems in the body. So which results into neurological problem, cardiac problems, respiratory problems, as well as musculoskeletal problems. And many patients with comorbidities may end up into multi-organ failure. Now, your question is what the patients who have recovered and are at home should be doing. So as advised by Umanjali Madam and Praveen Sir also told the importance of the 6-minute walk test. So patient has to undergo the endurance testing or the functional evaluation from the experts, which can be done by the telerehabilitation. And if the patient is desaturating, he has to stop the exercises. That is very important because we don't want the patient to desaturate, especially when he is at home. And for these patients who are desaturating or they are in the acute post-rehab phase, so advisable treatment is for these patients is the minimum intensity intermittent training. So we don't want their heart rate or the respiratory rate to be raised high, and we don't want to induce fatigue in these patients by doing the exercises. Again, lot of people will have question that before the illness, I was into active sports. What should be my strategy? So it is a sincere request to all those who are used to doing high intensity exercises not to do the high intensity exercise. On the contrary, it is seen that the person who are into the high intensity sports, once they start to resume post COVID, there is a inflammatory response triggered in the heart and they'll end up into emergency. So those patients who are at home, it is a sincere request, unless it is guided by a therapist, by a telerehabilitation, don't go for any high-fi exercises. Just mobilize yourself. You can keep small targets. Today my target is just to walk unsupported and go to the dining table and have a cup of tea rather than having it in the bed. So like that, the small targets, small goals we have to take, keep in mind, and we have to achieve those goals. And along with the respiratory exercise, which forms incentive spirometry, diaphragmatic breathing, relaxing postures, all these things along with small intensity, mild intensity, intermittent training exercises will be the goal in the post-acute rehabilitation phase.
That was a really detailed description of how people can help themselves, especially those जो कि घर पे ही अपने आप को क्वारंटीन किए हैं और फिर भी सिवियर भी रहा है, जो मेडिसिन के थ्रू जो भी उन्होंने घर पे मेजर्स किए हैं. मैम आपने बहुत ही अच्छा एडवाइस दिया है दैट दे शुड नॉट जस्ट जंप इनटू एक्सरसाइजेस. जो भी आजकल हम सोशल मीडिया से बहुत इजीली इन्फ्लुएंस हो जाते हैं कि हमने वर्कआउट देखा तो इमीडिएटली वी जंप टू इट. तो क्या हुआ, हमें कोविड हुआ तो वी विल डू इट. कुछ नहीं होता, हमारी एज कुछ नहीं है, हम कर लेंगे. ये जो एटीट्यूड है डेफिनेटली मैम ने इसको थोड़ा ज्यादा सिंसेरिटी के साथ में डिस्प्ले किया है. So now when we are talking about more serious talks, a lot of women who are there, the pregnant women out there. So we have Rashmi ma'am with us. So I would recommend her that please guide us about how these women should go about with their daily routines, given the certain circumstances that have arisen right now regarding COVID. So like, what can they do staying at home? How could they stay active?
Yeah. At the start, I would like to thank Anuradha and the entire team for giving me this opportunity. And I extend my warm wishes to all the physiotherapy doctors on the day of World Physiotherapy Day. So yes, pregnancy is a very delicate and high risk stage, or people who are pregnant at this is a very delicate and high risk stage for them. They have to be really careful and have to take special measures to prevent the direct contact with COVID patients, and to have social distancing norms and everything which is on the preventive chart for COVID-19. They have to be they have to follow it very seriously. And of course, these people will have to take care of their fitness, because during this phase it was seen that pregnant women, especially from second trimester to third trimester, the basic deconditioning what is happening because of their relative immobility, or they're confined to home. So that deconditioning is adding problems to their further trimester and further delivery phase. Okay, so these these females will have to especially be very careful as far as their fitness is concerned. They have to do supervised training under somebody who is a physio, who is a certified ANC trainer, should plan exercise sessions for them, because as you all know that there are a lot of don'ts to be followed by this group of people. If somebody is doing Kapalbhati on TV and you're watching and you're trying to imitate that, it's very dangerous. So there are a lot of pranayamas, lot of vigorous exercises which are not to be done by this age people. Okay, so a tailor-made supervised training has to be there. Definitely on the online basis in the form of tele-rehab or teleconsultation. Other than that, I would say that whenever you have your sonography appointment or any mandatory appointment to your doctor, then only move out of house, and otherwise you depend upon teleconsultation a lot. Then these people should do mild calisthenics and household ANC exercises depending upon which trimester the female is going through. Okay, it's very important, and it has to be tailor made, because each female has got her own capacities. Baseline endurance for each female is different, so it has to be tailor-made program, and stage-wise, all the 3 trimesters have different set of exercises which are to be followed by these people. And yes, fitness is very, very important domain for safe and healthy pregnancy and delivery. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, appropriate counseling for their diet, and of course stress is a big issue in this COVID era, that due to a lot of news flashing around because of COVID pandemic, a lot of mishap is happening in society. So stress relieving techniques, certain relaxation techniques and meditation plays a vital role in and it is an added part of exercise prescription in this phase. Other than that, definitely a good bronchial hygiene, certain safe pranayama, respiratory strengthening exercises are very, very important parts or inseparable parts of exercise prescription in ANC phase. Yeah, over to you, Anuradha.
थैंक यू मैम. जैसे आपने बोला कि हर विमेन की अपनी जो कैपेबिलिटीज होती है, स्ट्रेंथ और वीकनेसेस होती है, ये हमने पोस्टर में भी डिस्कस किए थे कि हर इंसान अलग तरीके से बना हुआ है, उसकी हैबिट्स की वजह से, उसके पोस्चर की वजह से, जो वो बचपन से करते हुए आता है, तो उसकी कुछ मसल स्ट्रांग होती है, कुछ वीक होती है, और ये डिस्पैरिटीज की वजह से हर एक इंसान का एक एक्सरसाइज प्रिस्क्रिप्शन जिसको हम बोलते हैं वो सेपरेट होता है, और इसको हम जनरलाइज नहीं कर सकते. राइट, तो जैसा मैम ने बोला है कि डेफिनेटली इफ यू आर इनटू सच अ फेज और इफ यू नो समवन हु इज प्रेग्नेंट, then please tell her to stay active, and if she is facing any difficulty or if she is confused about what she should do, then please approach a physiotherapist for a scientific exercise prescription. All right, moving on, now that we are talking a lot about teleconsultations, all of that which is being done online, right, the physiotherapy exercises that are being recommended, तो ये जो supervised exercise sessions होते हैं, ये जो पूरा digital era आ गया है, all of a sudden जो पहले बोलते थे कि बिना टच के हम फिजियोथेरेपी कर रहे हैं तो वो पता नहीं कितनी इफेक्टिव रहेगी. तो आई वुड लाइक टू आस्क आवर नेक्स्ट पैनलिस्ट सूरज सर, व्हाट इज योर ओपिनियन अबाउट दिस डिजिटलाइजेशन ऑफ फिजियोथेरेपी?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me on this platform. I really feel proud to share this platform with my teachers, Manisha ma'am, Praveen sir, Mahulkar ma'am, Damke ma'am. Your contribution to GMC Nagpur and the field of physiotherapy is impeccable. To start with, to answer your question, I have two versions to this. First of all, to an extent, yes, it is helpful. Face-to-face consultation may be a bit problematic due to this current pandemic situation. And at present, if you look at the statistics, India is amongst the largest data consumer in the world. So there is more and more of internet coverage in majority of the parts of the country. If you talk about Internet on Things, that is IoT, there is accessibility to rural and urban population also. So what happens is we can convey our ideas or whatever our consultations to a wide range of population. But on the contrary, if you see a physical therapist has to have a thorough physical examination of all the patients that come to them. This is a limitation which comes on telemedicine or teleconsultations, because if there is not a thorough physical examination, we could not understand the prognosis of the condition. We cannot diagnose the condition well. We may not, or even we could not give them the best exercises which would be required for them. I'll give you an example. If the patient tells on a teleconsultation that I have a heel pain, it is hurting me since many days. So rather than getting a pinpoint diagnosis over there, we need to actually see whether the problem is in the heel or whether there is compensatory movements in the knee or in the hip, due to which there is a problem in the heel. So yes, there are two versions. On an aspect, yes, we can use telemedicine or teleconsultations in physiotherapy. But on the contrary, a physical examination, since our field is very much associated with physical contact of the patient, that is why physical assessment is very much required in the case of treating patients.
Okay, sir. So that was your view about, you mean to say that, yes, even though it is beneficial, there is this touch thing which really does matter, because it is more associated psychologically as well. I would like to highlight upon that, क्योंकि जब हम patient से बात करते हैं, हम उनका एक point of view बदलने की कोशिश करते हैं, जो शायद एक 1 hour के teleconsultation में इतना possible नहीं होता है. प्लस जो एक फीडबैक मिलता है, फिजिकल टच का जो फीडबैक होता है, दैट कैन नॉट डेफिनेटली बी ओवरकम बाय द डिजिटल वर्जन. But we have Praveen sir here, who has been into a lot of research regarding, he has been doing this since a very long time. Since the time we were studying, he used to tell us that he's been talking about these papers of WhatsApp, how people ask for recommendations over WhatsApp. Now that it's been converted to completely a video medium, sir, could you please enlighten us? What do you think are the challenges that are being faced, and how can this be brought up in the positive light?
See, as Suraj has already emphasized about Internet of Things and all, now basically everybody is connected. It is a connecting world. But because of the COVID, from globalization, again we have come back to localization. So the problem is that. But till then, telemedicine and tele-rehabilitation and tele-physiotherapy is on rise. But the problem with the tele-rehabilitation is that the patients expect a lot of things. And when we try to make up certain videos and put it on the websites or Facebook, I think Anuradha has also put 1 or 2. So the problem is what, when the patient just look at that and try to do it, but they forget that we are all actually physically fit. That is why we are able to do those exercises very easily. But the patient cannot exactly mimic it. For example, if a patient with a frozen shoulder is coming and then we are trying to teach him wand exercises. So I'm doing a wand exercises and putting it on the internet. So the thing is that patient will not be able to do it easily the way he has to do it. So then the problem comes is he feels very depressed that my physio is doing so well, why can't I do it? So that is one lacuna with that. But as far as the positivities are concerned, see, we get connected with the patient. So at least no physiotherapy is going to deteriorate the patient. So at least some physiotherapy can keep the muscles under control. Secondly, the respiratory system, some exercises of the respiratory system, which can be easily done at home, such as your simple breathing exercises, or some of the exercises which we do in yoga, that is pranayamas, that can be easily done at home. And secondly, what happens is with this WhatsApp group and all that, one more thing which can happen is you can connect these patients, right? 5-6 patients you can connect together, like how we have got connected now, right? So you can have a Google Meet of these patients and then you can do it. So what happens is then you get to have a wider picture. And as Suraj told, that patients cannot give so many problems. So when they are sitting together, so the discussion becomes more better, and the timing constraint which we are spending for single patient can be reduced. So in 1 hour, You can discuss 5 patients simultaneously. So that can be also taken care of if you are grouping the things and using group therapies in your WhatsApp or your Google Meet or Zoom. So these are some of the positives which we can do. And the negative component of that is basically the patient tends to do the things, overdo the things. And when they're overdoing the things, the first common problem comes is overstretch, fiber injuries, and then after 24 to 48 hours, they call us back and they say, "Pehle hi acha tha, exercise ke baad pain बढ़ गया है." So these are the two things. So we have to have a right balance between when we are doing a tele-rehabilitation. So tele-rehabilitation for medicine people is very good. Because what is the positive thing about that is when they say that this medicine has to be taken, it has to be taken. But when we are telling that you have to do these exercises, that exercises have to be properly shown for how many times, how much should be the duration, how much should be the intensity, up to what level he can be able to do it, what is his stretchability, what is his flexibility. So these are the two ends of a same coin. So we have to balance it in between so that in future the tele-rehabilitation is only going to be there for COVID patients, at least during the initial period, even in the home isolation. But in the home isolation also, it should be very clear that there should not be more than 3 to 5% of the drop in the pulse oximeter findings, whatever you are doing, even in your home, whatever you are doing. Along with this, please have proper diet. Because in the COVID situation, what is happening is you have a lot of time, you are exercising more, and you are also doing a lot of dieting. So that may have an adverse effect. Eat well, and if you do exercises properly, half the problems are sorted out. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. That's why we recommend that if you're going for a tele consultation with a physiotherapist, it's not just that आप WhatsApp पे पूछ लो कि मैडम हमने कौन सी exercises करनी चाहिए, सर मुझे यहाँ पेन है, आप कुछ exercises बता देंगे क्या? Because there's so much more to it. Like just sir has just explained about this कि उसमें एक assessment involved है, उसके कुछ challenges होते हैं, इसीलिए supervised रहना बहुत important है. So if you can arrange such a session, if that is possible, I think that would be a great idea wherein someone who is exercising and still has kept the video cam on, like that is what we're talking about, a supervised exercise session. So I think that would be much more beneficial as compared to just WhatsApping the exercises and, you know, telling some videos कि आप ये follow कर लीजिए, ये video का recommendation link भेज दिया. उन सबसे बेहतर मुझे ये लगता है कि supervised exercise session would be far more beneficial. Umanjali ma'am, could you just a little, you know, shed a little more light on how can physiotherapists really help in these times of pandemic, given the times of these teleconsultations?
As said by Praveen and Manisha, and of course Suraj as well, we can go in for telecommunication because with the COVID positive patients, we do not have any other option because they need exercises, but at the same time, as said, supervised exercises. So what I would suggest, we need to go very systematically. Systematically in the sense, number one thing, what I would suggest is the patient first needs to find out his own endurance. Like a proper history taking, I think so, is one of the most important aspect at this point. Like for example, if we ask the patient as to what are his daily activities, what daily activities is he performing, to what extent is he able to perform, and to what level he gets breathless. Like for example, if he stays at a first floor, then is he able to climb that one flight of stairs? If he is at the ground floor and if he is walking, then to what area he goes, walks, and he comes back and he is feeling this thing. So once we have a good history taking, I think that will solve over 50% of problems. Because then when we are prescribing him exercises into a tele, we will know that maybe he is able to do a one flight of stairs. So what we can start with is maybe a 6-minute walk test, probably he will be able to do. Or the safest way is we make him walk for 2 minutes, keep on watching his pulse oximeter, then make him go to 3 minutes, and then go to 6 minutes. So we give a gradual progression of exercises. And as has been told, we need to look even along with the cardiorespiratory and the respiratory and the cardiac system, the musculoskeletal and the neuro aspect also has to be taken into consideration. So like, for example, if the person is a 75-year-old male, then we just cannot ask him to do a stair climbing as an exercise for endurance, because he might be having a knee pain, right? So during the assessment, it is not only the respiratory system, not only the cardiac system, not only the musculoskeletal system, but assessment of the individual and of the patient as a whole, right? So here comes, I think, so the role of community-based rehabilitation. Because when we speak about community-based rehabilitation, then we assess the cardiac system, we assess the respiratory system, we assess the musculoskeletal system and the neurological system as well. Because if the patient, this also can happen that the patient, because he's 75-year-old, has some aspect of Parkinsonism, and the patient has some tremors, then whatever weights we are trying to give him onto his hands, is he able to hold them? Right. So all this evaluation, I think, so needs to be taken into account when we are doing a tele-rehabilitation. And one more aspect, as Suraj sir has pointed out, what we miss is the TLC when we are doing tele-rehabilitation, tender loving care. Because I think so the moment we touch a patient, the touch of the hand suits the patient 50%, right? So this TLC is what the patients are missing when we are doing tele-rehabilitation, and thereby our contact with the voice, our voice fluctuations, our voice modulations, when we are talking these patients, I think so are very important. Yeah, over to you, Anurag.
ट्रू डेफिनेटली मैम, जो आपने बोला है कि एक असेसमेंट से ही हमें एक आइडिया मिल जाता है कि पेशेंट की क्या कैपेबिलिटीज है, उसके बेसिस पे हम एक एक्सरसाइज प्रोग्राम डेवलप करते हैं. फॉर दोज ऑफ यू हु आर कंफ्यूज्ड कि सबके लिए एक जैसे ही जनरल एक्सरसाइज प्रोग्राम्स बनते हैं, ऐसा नहीं होता है. बिकॉज यहाँ पे बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स वेरी करते हैं कि पर्सन का पहले का लेवल क्या था, अब क्या है और उसके गोल्स क्या है. We have a community rehab professor, assistant professor with us. Rashmi ma'am, could you tell us a little more about how can the elderly go about with this? जो लोग बहुत old है, मतलब जो around 60s 70s की एज में है, और given कि अभी जो बहुत जो कोरोना की सिचुएशन है, ऐसे में जो elderly है वो अपने आप को कैसे एक्टिव रखे? कुछ ऐसी सिंपल एक्सरसाइजेस जो उनको बहुत ज्यादा पेन भी ना दे, कुछ ऐसा बैलेंस मेंटेन करते हुए आप कुछ सजेस्ट करेंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा. Ma'am, you're muted. Please unmute yourself.
I would say it is a wonderful question, Anuradha. Again, it is a high-risk group, geriatric population. Geriatric population is divided into 3 groups: young old, middle old, and old old. In which why we have categorized the geriatric people in these 3 categories, because depending upon their baseline capacities and how much their life is limited with because of comorbid conditions like blood pressure, hypertension, hypertension, diabetes, thyroid issues, or any osteoarthritis, or say COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. These are usually the associated debilitating comorbidities. So they have the intensity of, or rather the impact of these comorbidities vary as age advances. Okay, so I would say that you might be falling in any of the category of geriatric classification, but you have to stay fit because you are confined to home. But you have to maintain your mobility, because it is a vicious cycle. If your mobility is somehow restricted, you are not going for your morning walk every day, you are somehow lost the touch of laughter club, and then you're at home and your mobility is really limited. You're hardly going to your household garden or your balcony or your terrace, then definitely it is alarming. Okay, because if you have less mobility, it is bound to affect your musculoskeletal system. It gets degenerated faster. If your musculoskeletal system is giving you joint aches, pains, and stiffness, then definitely your cardiovascular fitness is bound to go down. If your cardiovascular fitness, aerobic capacity is affected or limited, then definitely the impact of degeneration on all your systems like neurological system, musculoskeletal system, cardiac or pulmonary system, the speed of degeneration is escalated. And this again leads to immobility. So it is a vicious cycle which you have to avoid and prevent right in the beginning. So how are we supposed to do the exercises? Yes, definitely you need a supervised exercise prescription from somebody who is a trained gerontology physiotherapist. And that person has to understand what is the baseline capacity of that individual. जैसे Dr. Umanjali ma'am ने बहुत अच्छे से बताया है कि you have to understand by taking the deep history and wise history, you have to understand the preliminary baseline capacity level of that individual, and that's how keeping that as a starting point, you have to progress. Okay, so somebody who is old or middle old can just walk in the corridor or terrace or say in the balcony. That is also sufficient twice a day. Okay, something like chair Surya Namaskara at home itself you can do. And I think COVID-19 has not detached us from our groups. By now I see in all the metro cities, we have good strong laughter club groups, morning walk groups, joggers groups. So be involved in those groups, get connected to each other and do some gentle calisthenics, chair Surya Namaskara, yogasana, some safe pranayama can be done in the group. But rather than just sitting at the home and get a feeling that you're confined to one place, you get connected to your people again in your groups and do tele exercises in group. Group exercise not only breaks the immobility impact, but it creates a harmony, sense of well-being is again re-established. So it is a very good idea to do exercises in group on getting connected online with your friends. Then I would say that, yeah, definitely osteoporosis is a burning issue where you have to take care that all your geriatric people, candidates at home should get adequate vitamin D3 supplementation from natural sunlight. Ensure that they are being exposed to natural sunlight every day. And along with D3, it's something, it is a vitamin required for absorption of calcium in the body. It holds the calcium in the body. So adequate calcium supplementation from dietary source if required and prescribed, then from medicinal source or drugs should support the calcium supplementation. And if you ask a good physiotherapist, I would always say that weight bearing exercises, gentle exercises, just climbing up the stairs and ascending and descending the stairs is a type of weight bearing exercise which will take care of your joints and will help you to maintain the bone nutrition. Okay, other than that, I would say that respiratory muscle strengthening, pulmonary hygiene, bronchial hygiene, and regularly doing certain pranayamas, exercises on spirometry. Incentive spirometer is a small device with 3 or 2 1 ball, and it is a small device which strengthens your respiratory muscles. It asks you to do exercises against resistance. Yeah, but of course it has to be supervised, and somebody who has already marked deficit of oxygen on pulse oximeter need to be very careful while doing all these breathing exercises. But somebody who is a healthy geriatric person at home should indulge in doing regular exercises, gentle calisthenics, should do bronchial hygiene, practice bronchial hygiene regularly, do breathing exercises, certain pranayama, gentle stretches and yogasana regularly. And yes, at the end, I would say that it is very stressful for all your elderly people to go through this COVID related mishaps happening everywhere. So stress management, elevation of reduction of the anxiety plays a great role. So meditation, dhyan, dharana, shavasana are our ancient ways to which help them to reduce down their psychological stress. And of course, practicing shavasana or Jacobson or other type of relaxation technique completes the exercise prescription for geriatric people. I think, Anuradha, I have tried to elaborate. Yeah, one more thing, that is balance and falls. As you grow old, the chances or risk of fall is very high. So balance training, gentle balance training exercises at home, be it a Frankel's exercise or exercises on some unsteady surface, if your balance is adequately proper and you have somebody as a bystander, then balance training has to be incorporated as an inseparable part of your exercise prescription. And that's how you should stay fit. And it is a very demanding age where you have to be physically active to combat against the threat of COVID-19 and be healthy. Yeah. Over to Anuradha.
That was indeed a very detailed description of how people should be going about these exercises and how to stay fit despite their age. क्या हुआ अगर हम थोड़ा 50-60 की एज के हैं, we can still stay fit, we can fight this COVID in a healthy manner by staying home and still staying active, right? So now that a lot of the employees also are working from home, I'll move back to Surat sir, if you could enlighten us a little about how they can stay pain free, क्योंकि ऐसे बहुत सारे कॉल्स बीइंग फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट हमको बहुत सारे लोगों के मैसेजेस आते हैं कि यार बहुत देर से हम लोग लैपटॉप्स यूज कर रहे थे, बहुत देर से ये वर्क फ्रॉम होम में हमारे आवर्स इंक्रीज हो गए हैं, बहुत ज्यादा काम करना पड़ता है घर से, तो उस चक्कर में हमारे आवर्स 9, 10, 12 आवर्स तक वर्किंग चली जाती है. तो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट दे आर फेसिंग अ लॉट ऑफ इश्यूज रिगार्डिंग बैक पेन एंड अदर अपर बैक पेन. So if you could help us a little bit about how they can prevent or maybe help a little with this pain.
You can hear me? Hello?
Audible.
Am I audible to you? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. See, talking about employees who are having work from home, who are working from home, they are working since quite a few months, and it is predicted that they may continue on, they may continue to do the same. First of all, let's talk about the abnormal postures that are developed by the people who are working from home. Majorly, the people we would be talking about is the IT employees. Now, if you look at them, like in the work from home scenario, these people are more of using the laptops or the systems that are allocated to them. They may be sitting like in a lying down position on the bed, like reclining on the bed, or sitting keeping the laptop on the bed and bending forward and working constantly. This is not like 1 hour of work. This is constantly more than 8 hours of work at once. Static position, they sit and they completely do their work on the laptop. Next abnormal posture would be like they may be sitting on the sofa and keeping the laptop on the teapot and working again in the same way, bending forward, making the neck extended and forward, rounding the shoulders. What happens is, due to this, there is a lot of compensatory mechanisms. There is a lot of overactivity of the muscles. Certain group of muscles go into overactivity. Another group of muscles go into weakness. So for that, I would suggest, basically, this is more of a community-based rehabilitation domain, but I would tell you that, we would suggest more of an ergonomic advice for them, in which we could advise the employees to design their own workstation. Designing their own workstation in which you can keep a laptop on a tabletop, a comfortable reclining chair, or a chair with a good head support. And you need to make sure that certain parameters are there, like whenever you're looking to the screen should be at your eye level, and then your shoulders need to be relaxed, your hands need to be supported, that is your forearms need to be supported, your wrist need to be in a neutral position. If you're sitting, then you should be sitting supportedly. You should not be sitting erected or unsupported or bending forward, which will give increase of more musculoskeletal conditions. Talking about the spine, you need to support it on the chair. You need to keep your feet, legs apart, and your foot supported. Talking more about the workstation, what all objects or whatever things that you need the most should be kept the closest to you. The less the required thing would be, or the less the required object would be, should be kept far away from you to the table, so that you could reach it easily. This was regarding ergonomics. Now, talking about exercises. Exercises for such for such employees, I would say that, first of all, physical activity is mandatory for the employees. You need to have some sort of physical activity. If going out is not possible due to this current situation, we can continue with aerobic exercises at home. We can perform a lot of yoga. Yogasana could be practiced very much by the employees. Working in between, like working constantly, should be avoided. At a break of 40 to 45 minutes, they should have a break, and they should have a lot of stretching exercises at that time. Stretching means stretching your neck, having a lot of stretching of your back. And if you talk about exercises, then the simple cervical range of motion exercises, cervical core exercises. The cervical core muscles are the deep muscles of the neck. Exercises for the cervical core, then the shoulder exercise. You can practice generalized shoulder ROM exercises like, shoulder range of motion exercises, shoulder shrugs. You can have a lot of truncal mobility exercises. And again, you can lift up your knees, move your ankle toe movements. You can do it on your workstation itself. So I would advise that it is never, because the IT employees do it they work from a stretch of more than 8 hours of work. People say that no, now it is very easy for them. They sit at home and work and all. But actually, if you look at the current scenario and the articles that we get in the newspaper, it is becoming more a load for them, in which they have to work constantly for more than 8 hours. So at this time, they have to take care of their body. They need to look into ergonomics. The more their back is supported, the less they are, prone to any conditions or any musculoskeletal conditions. Thank you.
True, absolutely true. So towards the end, like I think all in general, all our panelists are suggesting that definitely some activity is better than no activity, right? So rather than just sitting कि ये बोल के कि हमको शायद हम ये भी नहीं कहना चाह रहे हैं कि आपको कुछ नहीं पता है, okay? Definitely you know your body very well, but all we are trying to suggest it, don't waste your time in exercises which are actually harming you. ओके सो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि कौन सी एक्सरसाइजेज आपके लिए बेनिफिशियल है और वो करने में हम फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट आपकी मदद कर सकते हैं. So that is how we add more quality to your life. And I think in conclusion, we would love to say this and quote this, that we love to add life to your years, because it's not just about living. It's about enjoying your life. It's about actually living up to it. And for that, you need a good health. You have to be able to do activities that you want to do, because उसमें मजा कहाँ है कि आप कुछ करना चाहो और आप नहीं कर पाओ. तो आई थिंक वैसे जीने से तो बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. तो ऐसे केस में हम आपकी मदद कर सकते हैं इन टोटलिटी. जब हम बात करते हैं, आज वर्ल्ड फिजियोथेरेपी डे है और इसी चीज को हम हाईलाइट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि आपकी हेल्थ हमारी प्रायोरिटी है, आपकी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ हमारी प्रायोरिटी है, और इसी के लिए हम इस फील्ड में इतने पैशनेटली वर्क करते हैं. All right, so with that, we finish off with our questions for the panelists for today. But still, we have one or two questions here in the Q&A. Right. So I think this question should go up with, there is this question. How long does frozen shoulder last, and how long one has to take physiotherapy? Manisha ma'am, could you help out on this question?
See, frozen shoulder, again, it's a terminology which is a very generalized thing. So, frozen shoulder can be a sequelae of many tendon injuries or some pathology around the shoulder. So, we need to first assess what is the reason for getting the stiffness in the shoulder. And once that assessment is done, then only we can give the time duration, what will be the recovery period.
True, absolutely true. अगर थोड़ी और डिटेल्स अगर हमारे पास में होती है, बिकॉज दिस इज अ कंडीशन, जैसे मनीषा मैम बोल रहे हैं कि इसमें बहुत सारी डिफरेंट चीजें इन्वॉल्व हो सकती है, और हो सकता है कि पता नहीं आपको ये कितने टाइम से हुआ है और कितनी आगे इसके लिए आपको रिक्वायरमेंट रहेंगी. एडिशनली आपके साथ में जो भी कोमॉर्बिडिटीज इन्वॉल्व है कि आपको और भी कुछ है प्रॉब्लम्स, तो वो भी अफेक्ट कर सकता है आपका ड्यूरेशन, कि आपको फ्रोजन शोल्डर कितने टाइम तक आपको एक्सरसाइजेज कंटिन्यू करनी पड़ेगी. Ideally, so we always recommend, as all my esteemed panelists over here, they've all been my teachers here. So I think whatever they have taught us, I'm just trying to reflect upon that. We'll move on to the next question, that is from Apeksha Dhole ma'am. Okay, right. So due to computer work, the person has to sit for a longer time, legs start aching. Can you suggest something? So just for relaxation, I guess, I think, Manjuli ma'am, if you could highlight on this thing, how can you help these people who are, sitting for a very long time?
Just now when I saw the question, I was analyzing my own self sitting onto the chair with my legs dangling and speaking on the computer. Actually, even I have started getting leg pain. So it's very necessary that while you're sitting onto the computer, getting up in between and having a walk. So you should not sit continuously for more than half an hour. Every half an hour, you just get up, have a walk around. If your knees are good, I mean, if you do not have any osteoarthritis of knee, then yes, you can do 1 or 2 sit-ups as well, because that will help you relieve of your aches and pains. Number 2 is just while sitting onto the chair, you can do your extension and flexion of the knee joints 5 times. Maybe just sit and do extend your leg, flex your leg. Then what you can do is you can just flex your thigh as well towards your chest. So take your thigh towards your chest and come back. This you can do again 5 times for each of the leg. That will improve onto the circulation. Next is ankle toe movements. When you're doing dorsiflexion and plantar flexion of the ankle, that will also help you regain your circulation because the legs are static for a longer time. Other than this, I always advise my patients who have a lot of sitting work and who have a lot of standing work to, in the evening when you come back home, what you can do is you can just keep your legs, lie down onto the bed, touch your bum to the wall, and extend your legs against the wall. So your legs are totally extended against the wall. I mean, you are touching the legs to the wall. This 90-90 position gives you a very good relaxation to the legs, because whatever blood, whatever varicose veins or blood pulling is there down, this gets relieved. And it also gives a very big relief to your low back. So this is a very good exercise. Like 5 minutes तक आप सिर्फ पैर अपने दीवार को लगा के ऐसे ऊपर पूरा दोनों पैर बम से चिपका के दीवार को आप लेट जाइए. That is really helpful. And other than this, what you can do is, if you have a leg pain, sitting for a longer time, you should always go in for a morning walk, at least minimum 10 to 15 minutes. That would also relieve this leg pain of yours. Over to you, Anuradha.
Very true. बहुत simple exercises मैम ने बताई है. So I hope that solves your problem regarding you know, when you are working from home. Even for the others, जितने भी हमारे students हैं, जितनी भी हमारी teachers हैं, I think this would be very helpful for all of them जो भी अपनी classes online ले रहे हैं. So I think being humans, it's natural to have pain when you're sitting for a very long time, but it's important you take some little time off, थोड़ा सा break लेके ये exercises अगर आपने कर ली, तो I'm sure वो pain हम prevent भी कर सकते हैं और कुछ हद तक उसको हम कम भी कर सकते हैं जो आपको already pain develop हो चुका है. So on that note, I think our Q&A is over. Yes. All right. So with that, we finish off our questions for the day. Thank you so much, the panelists, for joining us, and a big thank you to Swati ma'am for organizing this event with JCI Medico and in association with BFF Online Physiotherapy Solutions. I would now like to call upon Anusha Devase for giving the formal vote of thanks.
Well, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all our esteemed panelists for sharing their plethora of knowledge with us, encouraging all of us to be active, and giving all these necessary advices for the different set of people of the society in these difficult times. And finally, to our audience for joining in and for the kind and patient listening. Thank you all.
One more time, a very happy World Physiotherapy Day to all of you, to all those who have joined in, who are physios, and all to our audience now. I think you all know how important a physio can be in your life. With that motto and with that conclusion, we end the meeting here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Most welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Anuradha.
Thank you, Anuradha.